So Food Review Friday finds me in Little Saigon and here in the Asia Garden Mall. And I'm checking out one of my favorite things, which is dim sum. And I'm here at the Dim Sum Bistro. It's a nice little stand in the food court over here. Really bustling today. One of the things I like about it is that everything's on display. And they do sell things a la carte too. You can choose individual pieces. And what they've got here is a little bit of a special. They do things by the pound. Mixed items $11.99 if it's just pork and shrimp, $15. They also have the individual items too. They've got the Cantonese style barbecue, bunch of different options. Noodles, rice, sesame balls, desserts, sticky rice, and they've got the traditional dim sum goodies. Like the setup because it's pretty much, you know, a la carte. Whatever you want, whatever you can get. It's kind of nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some dim sum and we'll see how this goes. Cheers. Alright, so I got my dim sum, I'm ordering my stuff. I picked up a couple of individual items and a little bit of the by the pound stuff. So not everything is by the pound, the stuff on the steam table is per item, and here's what I got. This little mix of things, I got the shrimp seaweed roll, I got the fried fish, shrimp balls, a little bit of radish cake, and their little dumpling thing. I got the deluxe shumai with the shrimp on it and the mushrooms, and then I got the black bean spare ribs. Here's the thing, I gotta be up front. Something that struck me as bad is that right up front, this is $20-something. That's not a lot of food for that kind of money, especially since the individual items were $6 and $7 a pop. That's a little more than a regular dim sum place, which is kind of a bad strike against it, but you know what, we'll give it a fair shot. Start with the black bean spare ribs, and you'll see they've got some squash here. It's a little bit of filler, but that's fine. That's not atypical, you know. So far, so good. And here's some barbecue spare ribs. At least it's decently flavored. And I said barbecue earlier, I meant black bean, sorry. Here's the deluxe shumai. Got the shrimp on top. Not bad. It's not great. Dim sum, you can almost immediately tell how good it is the moment it hits your tongue. Bad shumai will have this pasty, powdery kind of texture instead of the steamed. And this isn't bad. I mean, you've got a shrimp in there. That's not pretty good flavor so far. But so, I've had better. This mixed plate is interesting. I'm not going to go into the full thing because that would be a lot of time. But the first thing I do want to try is the shrimp ball. Flavor's okay, but the problem is it's been under a heat lamp. So it's not the worst, but it's also a little cold. So you'd be best taking this stuff to go, heating it up at home. So put it in an air fryer and oven. I'm going to finish this meal, or at least most of it, because it's still a decent amount of food. Just, it's hard to accept that I paid $28 for this. All right, we'll see you in a bit. Cheers. All right, let's talk about the Dim Sum Bistro. I'm out here in the parking lot, having had my meal, and I had to step out here because I really need to flush my system, because that was, meh. It wasn't the worst dim sum I've ever had. That honor distinctly goes to a different place that wasn't even in California. But really, that I would just look. You're paying way too much for way too little. Granted, the flavors are good. It's nice. It's convenient. But anything on the steam table is cold, or rather, on the heat lamps is cold. Anything on the steam table is overpriced. You're better off hitting any of the other dim sum places around here, almost any of them. We won't go into that. But it's good for a quick pick-me-up if you want one or two items at the most. Skip the stuff by the pound. It's just cold. It's just greasy. Unless you see them put it straight on the table fresh, I would skip it entirely. And that's the difficulty with, with mall food. And I'm being a little harsh because I paid way too much for this, and you shouldn't either. The food's good enough. It can be kind of fast, But really, you're in Little Saigon. There's tons of better Vietnamese places. There's tons of better Cantonese and dim sum places. Dim Sum Bistro, it's not the worst. It's not inedible, but it's way too expensive for what you get. It's way too oily. It's way too cold. I can't. But it's not bad. It's just overpriced and needs a little bit of extra work to make it edible again. So really, this is on the low end of the reputation of good. Not the worst you could do. It's edible. The flavors are decent enough when they're heated and when they're fresh. So the rating for this place, they've got food, decent stuff. Go somewhere else if you can, but if you can't, it's okay. Cheers.